Right. Hey everyone, I'm Klloo. So, I made the comment that I would have liked a little bit more information when it comes to the actual treasure pack pull rates, right? Not anything specific, right? There should be some mystery, there should be some more. We don't need to know, obviously, the print size, therefore we can work out the amulets, the signature cards. But instead, what I would have liked to know, right, is the ratio, if you will, between, say, the Marvels to Legendary to Pirate cards to Common cards. So, my day has been watching a ton of videos. So first off, a big thanks to every single one of these content creators, right? I've used you essentially as fodder, right? I've just watched you gold pack pulls so that I could collate them all and figure out some ballpark numbers, which is another thing to point out. Obviously, this is a very, very small sample size comparative to the actual big print run of high seas, so do keep that in mind when it comes to anything we go over. But nonetheless, let's jump into the numbers and see what exactly we can work out. When it comes to our Marvels Legendaries, we'll say Majestic Pirate cards, because I haven't bothered to keep track of the rares and commons, and our common cold foils, right? Okay, so from all my scouring, I managed to collate 880 gold pack pulls. So of those pulls, there were 56 cold foil legendaries. So I'm saying cold foil legendaries. I know the majority come in EA, but it's basically the cold foil slot, right? We're past the point where we get a cold foil variant and an EA variant, the backlash of the community. So all cold foil legendaries where it's applicable seem to just have an EA version. So 56 cold foil legendaries, 63 Pirate Booty Majestics, right? Or Treasure Pack Majestics, how you want to refer to it. The Pirate cards, so that's the big ones. Tip the Barkeep, Sunken Treasure, Lone Shark, and Conquerors. There was only 4. I feel like there was 5, but 4 come to mind, right? So 63 of them. Cold War Commons, 94, and 24 Marvels, which there were 18 Harpoons, 2 Polys, and 4 Amulets. So what this means is if we use a pack box case basis, so a gold pack is equivalent to 24 packs, right? You find it in one box, which is 24 packs, so 1-to-1 for the boxes, or 4 gold packs per case. What we can then figure out is the rates of these pulls, right? So a Cold War Legendary shows up at 1 in 377 packs, which definitely sounds alarming, but it's not as rough as you might think. We'll go into that in a little bit, right? That's 15 boxes, or roughly 4 cases, 16 boxes, right? 4 cases for our Cold War Legendary. So 1 in 4 cases, again, isn't insane, right? But it is definitely something a little bit tough to pull. Our Pirates Majestics, right, are similar to our actual legendaries. About 14 boxes or 3.5 cases, but again, the pack rate 335. So all these kind of have pretty big pack rates, and that kind of shows that the trash pulls are the majority of gold packs, which is a little bit rough. For our Cold War Commons, right, this was kind of surprised me. I thought these would be a little bit more apparent, but no, they are basically a third greater than either our legendaries or our pirate majestics, right? So 1 in 9 boxes, or roughly 2.5 cases, right? Or 224 packs. And our marvels at 1 per 880 packs, right? Because we pulled 24 in 880, right? So math works out nice and evenly there. 36.6 boxes, or roughly 9 cases to pull a Marvel. And of that, right, the Harpoons are by far the most apparent. Then actually the amulets by volume, right? So remember there are 9 different amulets. Then Poly. So the Harpoons, 1 in 48 boxes, or 12 cases. Poly, 1 in 440 boxes, or 110 cases, right? And amulets at 1 in 220 boxes, or 55 cases. So by packs basis, right, these are, again, pretty high numbers, and for Poly, what this means is he kind of equivalent to our Emperor Marvel, which is definitely something to really, really keep in mind. But again, you really got to remember this is a minute sample size in the actual big scheme of things, right? This is 880 boxes of high seas, where the print run is somewhere between most likely 200,000 to 300,000. So statistically, this is just a drop in that barrel, right? But again, using the numbers, individual amulets is rarer than Poly, but Poly is rarer than the amulets collectively. So again, there are 9 different amulets to pull. So that pull rate was to find any amulet, not a specific amulet. Then using the amulet pull rate of 1 in 220 boxes, that would put the print run estimate at 198,000 boxes, right? So under that 200,000 threshold, which I think around probably 230, 250, I think is a little bit more reasonable. So that means that the amulets were pulled a bit more frequently than their actual rate is probably going to reflect, right? Harpoons are about 3 times more common than our other marvels, which is also kind of a sad feat, right? Because I don't think you need multiple harpoons. I don't think there is any way for Marlin to generate, at most, I think it's 2 harpoons if you untap, right, and have the extra gold. So yeah, they're going to really decline in value as people again put the money towards the actual amulets, or of course Polly himself. Now, the legendary. So worth noting, right? The last time we would disclose the cold foil legendary rate separate from the rainbow foil legendary rate was outsiders, right? So the cold foil legendaries were 1 in 264 packs, with high seas again reflected from this data at 1 in 377 packs. So that is a little bit of a jump, right? But there are a few other factors to keep in mind. So combining the L rates, right, the Rainbow Foil pull rate with the Cold Foil Legendary, so to pull any L in Outsiders was about 1 in 55 packs. Dusk Till Dawn, this is when we got the actual combined rates told to us. It was 1 in 64, then Bright Lights 1 in 70, and then every set after that we've just been disclosed the Rainbow Foil Legendary rate at 1 in 96. So from this, something to keep in mind is then if we reverse engineer the Cold Foil Legendary rate for Dusk Till Dawn or Bright Lights, placing the Rainbow Foil Legendaries at 196. Dusk Till Dawn is 1 in 192, and Bright Lights is 1 in 258. So both are under Outsiders, which most likely tells me that the Rainbow Foils in both those sets are still closer to that of Outsiders, which was 1 in 70, not 1 in 96. But overall, looking at the combined Legendary subtle increase overall, it's clear that LSS is still fine-tuning the amount. But again, although 1 in 377 looks to be quite the jump, what you have to really remember is that for high seas, there are 2 less legendaries in their actual card pool, right? Poly is put in the Marvel slots, and then of course Codex shows up in the set, not in the treasure pack. So what this means is if we were to, for instance, use the Hunted, right, at the rates of high seas reflected, again, from this data, it means that per legendary population of that higher rarity, right, it would take 2,262 packs of the Hunted to supply a full set, right, of the 6 legendaries, as opposed to high seas at 1,508. So although 1 in 377 is higher, right, so to pull a cold foil legendary, right, is going to be more difficult, the overall population of our cold foil legendaries is going to be more similar to previous sets, right? So again, they're harder to pull, but overall the population should remain similar to previous sets, meaning that none of these cards should really have a huge cost associated to them, because again, they should be a bit more in line with all our other legendaries. Now, overall, and this is what really, really disappointed me. So the percentages. So Marvel showed up around 3% of the time, Cold Foil Legendary 6%, Majestic, Pirate Booty 7%, Cold Foil Commons 11%, and that one really disappointing, which is weird because I have been saying for a while that I wanted a Cold Foil Commons to have a bit more respect placed on them, but I think it's more in line with the actual effects than actually just making them hard to pull. And then our other Pirate Booty cards showing up 73% of the time. So yeah, 3/4 of your gold packs are going to have nothing, right? And that's awful. That is just a real awful number to see. So, yeah. Again, keep in mind this is a small sample size, but again, even if Pirate Booty was 50% of the time, that's still awful, right? It feels like, again, in a case, it should be 1 common, maybe 2 Pirate Booties, and then 1 of the others, right? But, you know, one other thing to note from the videos I did watch was clumping was severely apparent, right? People who hit legendaries sort of back to back to back, right? Maybe 1 card in between, and those who hit the crappy pirate booty cards was just very much, here's your 4 pirate crap, right? And that was kind of rough to see, right? So also weirdly, people who like hit harpoons back to back. Yeah, but again, I don't know what they've done personally. I don't know if they've taken out all the gold packs in order and put them together. There's people who've done 1, there's people who've done 4, 8, 12, there's people who've done hundreds. So yeah, all that, take with a grain of salt. Keep in mind that there we go. That's the information I could scrunch up. Let me know what you think. Actually, before we go full doom and gloom, if we take the percentages and then we adjust it by the actual individual card pool, so for instance, Marvel will count it as 3, Amulet, Poly, or Harpoon, Cold Foil Legendaries by 4, Majestic Pirate Booty by 4, Cold Foil Commons by 14, and then our other pirate cards by the rest, which I think is like 45, then it's a little bit more even. So a specific Marvel, 1% of the time, a specific Cold Foil Legendary, 1.5% of the time, a specific Majestic pirate card, 1.75% of the time. Cold Foil Commons come in at the least at 0.8% of the time, and then our other pirate cards show up specifically 1.62% of the time, right? So it's a little bit more fairer in that purview, but again, it's just the unfortunate nature of there are so many bad generic cards, right? It shouldn't include the limiteds. Probably shouldn't include the commons, right? Rares, maybe, because there are some playable stuff, obviously. Murderous Rabble or some other things. But generally speaking, I think, personally, I would like to just see every Majestic hit with this treatment, right? And again, you could have had the Cold War Commons a little bit more apparent, a little bit more spread out. But, you know, that could have been decent. You'd again have a huge volume of cards that it should still level out nicely. But instead, we get, again, the skewing where you can pull something that is just nada, right? Because it's meant solely for limited, or you can pull something really good. And the majority of the time, it's not going to be something really good, right? Unfortunately. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah.